In this video, we're going to learn how to play the very famous composition by Paul Desmond called Take 5, written for the Dave Brubeck Quartet album Time Out. It's a very important tune to learn because it's probably the most famous jazz composition of all time. And in this video, we are going to learn how to play it solo piano. That's right, we're going to play it without bass and drums. It's not the easiest thing to do. So if you want to know how to do it, stick around because I'm going to give you my own arrangement. Let me give you a reason to stick around for the entire tutorial, because at one point I'm going to put a link in the corner to download the sheet music that I've written out. This is the solo piano version that we're going to be working on, so stick around for that. And the reason why I'm doing this is because yesterday I posted it in the Jazz Pianist group on Facebook, and currently, I mean, it struck a chord. It was, you can see here, it was posted yesterday, and already there's 685 reactions. Actually, let's refresh the page a bit and see how many. So 691 reactions, 70 comments, and 147 shares, which is kind of cool. But then you look at the comments and there's one person, let me scroll down here a bit, who said, "Give us a lesson on YouTube on how to play this tune like you." So this is how to play it solo piano like I did in this recording. Thanks for the comment, Mohammed. I hope this video helps you out. What we're going to do is play a little bit of it. I've written out the sheet music for you. We'll get to that in just a moment. Let me just play the introduction and let's get the 5/4 feel down like solo piano. Right, so the introduction has 8 bars and then a pickup. Let's take a look at the sheet music, and we're going to go through this section by section. So the first part, we've got this lovely 5/4 time thing going on. Now, if you've never played 5/4 before, this particular tune divides it into 3 beats and then 2 beats. Those are 2 completely separate things. So think of it like a bar of 3 and a bar of 2. So the bar of 3 is like this. And then the bar of 2 is just like that. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now, what makes this probably more difficult to play is the fact that it's swing. So the left hand is on the and of 2. So play it on 1 and then the end of 2. And then it switches here, first finger to 5th finger. So let's just write that in. I like to use my 3rd finger here and then 1st finger, 5th finger. So it's 1, 2, and, play on the and of 2, 1, 2, and 3, 4, 5. Now, what I would suggest in order to get a good feel for this is to just play it as softly as you possibly can. Don't be like, it's like, play it super soft. Play that over and over and over again until it ingrains itself in your soul, in your consciousness, in your muscle memory, everything, until you move on to the next section. I think what we tend to do is try to do too much at once. So if you haven't really played a lot of 5/4 before, that's how to count it out, but also how to feel it as well. Really, it's just E flat minor to B flat minor 7. So E flat minor to B flat minor 7, right? And then you've got this lovely little pickup measure to start into the melody, which is right here. So we're going to listen back to the recording and we're going to play the first A section, and that's what we're going to cover. And then after that, we'll get to the bridge. Let's go and listen to that now. Now, I saw somebody play this on a video, and they were teaching people how to do this. They were doing tenths in the left hand and then jumping with the fingers. What I decided to do instead was do that upper part, this part, with the right hand instead of the left hand. So if we take a look at the sheet music, we're not doing it with the left hand. The left hand remains consistent throughout. So instead of playing this in the left hand, we're doing it with the right in this bar. You can see right here. So we're covering those notes with the right hand along with the melody. You still have the feel. You're still getting it in there, but you're not doing that really difficult bass thing. Yeah, I mean, you can do it, but when you get to the solo section, trying to do this, it's really going to stifle you because it doesn't flow as easily as this. I think what happens is people try to take on more bass than they can handle, and then they really struggle with the right hand. So make the bass as easy as possible, but keep that swing feel going. All right, let's get back to the A section. Now, throw in the right hand. Now, of course, you have these 16th notes here. How do you play those? The way that I do it is I start with my third finger. I go 3, 4, 3, 2, 1, 2, like this. Let me write it in. 3, 4, 3, 2, 1, 2. And of course, it's really a feel thing. Trying to count your way through that won't work. So just think of the melody. And so the last note of that measure ends on the same beat, which is the 5th beat of the bar. You're never going to get that unless you do the introduction like 1,000 times. And that's really all there is to the A section. It's not more difficult than that. It just repeats, and then we're going to get into the bridge. If you have any questions about the fingering in that A section, or you want to dive into it a little bit deeper, just put it in the comments below and I'll get back to you. All right, let's jump to the bridge now, which is a little more difficult. I think the thing that people found interesting about my performance on the Facebook Jazz Pianists group, if I can find the comment, there was actually a few people that commented. Marco says, never heard improv on the B part, which is the part that we're about to do now. Most people just play over the E flat minor, B flat minor progression, but the bridge to me is the thing that makes it really interesting. But before you can actually improvise over it, you have to understand the chords and the melody. And just before we go any further, I'd like to ask you to reach down, hit the little thumbs up button. Only if you like the video, of course. But it really helps the channel when you do that, and I appreciate it. Thanks in advance for doing that. And if you'd like to subscribe, we have lots of videos on this channel, well over 300, on how to play different tunes, how to do reharmonization, how to solo. It's basically an intermediate to advanced jazz piano tutorial channel. If you'd like to subscribe, hit the little bell when you do, and we'll notify you of all the upcoming videos that we make. So what we're gonna do is just go through it a little bit at a time, where we're starting on the B major 7. Now, all we're doing in the left hand is kind of like stride. You're playing the root and then chord tones. The thing that makes it difficult is you have to follow the timing. So you've got a bar of 3. Let's just write that in there. So here's your bar of 3, and then there's your bar of 2. So it's 1, 2, and 3, 1, 2. So the A minor 7th chord. And I would suggest you do this with your left hand before you add the right hand. and then just repeat it. Now that's not an easy thing to do. My suggestion is you do that again, just like you did the introduction, play it over and over again until it becomes second nature, because now you have to put the right hand in. Let's listen to the recording to see how it actually sounded when we got to the bridge. Now, I won't sugarcoat it. It's definitely going to take you a bit of work to get that under your fingers, right? Because the left hand is jumping around a bit. Now, if you miss a left-hand chord here and there, that's okay. Just make sure you cover the right hand. I won't really talk about it more than it's written. The only thing that I would suggest to you is that you got to keep it swing. You shouldn't play it straight eights like a lot of people play this tune straight eights like this. I know it doesn't sound a whole lot different, but when it swings, it swings. It's really going to help you with the swing to get that going when you play the left hand and right hand together, and then you get into the solo section. It's just a different sound. And I think that's what really struck a chord with people on the Jazz Pianist group on Facebook. It's just, they've never really heard a solo piano version kind of move smoothly like that. So that's what I'm trying to share with you, just the way that I approach it. And of course, then after you're done the bridge, you're getting back into the last A section. Now, the interesting thing about the second half of the bridge, if we played it, it switches to a 2/5 of E minor. And here you're playing first the root of F minor and this B flat, and then you're throwing down the chord on 2, not the and of 2. All right, let's play that last little bit. To me, the real feel of this whole thing is the second half of the bar, 4 and 5. These notes, when you're jumping from the B flat down to the B flat, and you're continuing to do that in every single bar, that's what to me makes the feel of the tune. Now, the other thing that I should point out is when you see this piece written by other people, you won't necessarily see it written like this. I tried to subdivide the beats as much as possible, but I think the important thing about the way that I wrote it is that these are eighth notes here. Because if you change that to quarter notes, you get something like this, which isn't really the right feel you're looking for. Play them like short eighth notes. It just bounces nicer with the fingers. This has a much nicer feel. Now, the only other thing that I'm going to suggest about this tune is that when you get into the solo section, and it may be too soon for you to play a solo on the bridge, I'm going to play you a little bit of the solo section just so you hear how I approach it. Let's just move forward a little bit. So of course, it's going to be much easier to play over the E flat minor, B flat minor section than it is to play over the bridge, which goes through all of those changes. Because when you go through those changes, you can't just play an E flat minor scale. But for now, what I would suggest, if you are just going to play over the E flat minor, B flat minor, which is all the Brubeck Quartet does, is to think about a couple of scales. First one is you're in E flat minor, so you're playing basically a G flat scale. Now you can alternate the chord tones with E flat minor and B flat minor like this. and keep switching that up a little bit. Kind of an interesting sound just going back and forth between the two. So there's a couple of ideas. You've got the E flat minor scale, which is just an E flat Phrygian scale? I don't know. I don't think of it like that. I don't think modes. I think more just key of the moment, which is G flat. Now the other thing you can do is put some passing notes in there. There's a couple of different choices. You can play this one. Use the A natural as a passing note. The interesting thing about that is it also works for blues scale. So the A natural is the passing note in the blues scale. Get the idea? So that scale. You can also play this scale using an E natural as a passing note. Kind of a rub your tummy, pat your head kind of thing when you try to play across the bar or across the time. So that time I'm using both passing notes. Couple of different bebop scales with passing notes, and then of course you've got the blues scale, which is really helpful here. That's just all blues scale. As I promised earlier, I said I was going to post a link to download the sheet music that we've been working on. That link is up here in the corner. Take 5 wasn't the only popular song from the album Time Out by Dave Brubeck. There is also another tune that's quite popular called Blue Rondo a la Turk. If you want to know how to play that one, I've got a few tutorials on that. You can check them out right here.